All right. Well, we weren't sure that the Toronto Blue Jays were done in the starting pitching market. It turns out not. The Blue Jays signed right-handed pitcher Cody Ponce to a 3-year, $30 million deal. Ponce was the KBO MVP last season, having an 1.89 ERA through 180 and two-thirds innings. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Blue Jays, your daily Toronto Blue Jays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jays. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network, your team every day.
All right, Carter, like I said, KBO MVP last season, had a fantastic year. This is one that it's not a ton of money. It's not crazy. This is a starting pitcher making $10 million every season. I'll throw it over to you before I get into the breakdown on some of his pitches, so what this guy brings to the table. But Carter, a lot of people are going to have the conversation around Ponce is that he has pitched in the MLB before and did not have much success whatsoever. So Carter, when did his success start to happen?
Yeah, it really just depends which way you want to look at Cody Ponce. If you want to look at his major league career, because he was actually surprisingly an MLB pitcher with the Pittsburgh Pirates, I'll go over some of those stats, I guess, to start it out. We'll start with the bad, and then we'll get into the good. So over his career, he's had 20 games played. Win-loss record for me doesn't really matter that much, but he's 1-7, a 5.86 ERA over 55.1 innings, 48 strikeouts, a 1.54 WHIP. In 2020, he pitched in 2020 and 2021. In 2021, he was horrific. I'll just say it. He was not good whatsoever. A 7.04 ERA over 38.1 innings pitched, 56 hits given up over that time, 8 home runs, 30 earned runs. Just not really going to get it done. 36 strikeouts, I guess, 11 walks. The opponent average was 344. If you have that high of an opponent average, it's not going to go well for you. But the reason that people are excited about this trade or this signing, sorry, not trade, hoping there might be a trade due to this signing. But the reason that people are excited about this signing, just going over some of the stats that he had in his last season in the KBO. This kind of started at the end of 2024. Cody Ponce must have found something because he let it display. He let it eat in 2025. So over that 2025 season in the KBO, he had 180.2 innings pitched, struck out 252 hitters. We talked about Dylan Cease's strikeout numbers. Again, it's a different league. I get that. But Cody Ponce, if you're looking at it just from the statistics, he has better strikeout numbers than Dylan Cease, who had the best strikeout numbers in all of baseball last season. Walked 41 hitters on top of that. So 252 strikeouts, 41 walks. It's a pretty good strikeout to walk rate. A whip of 0.94, Ks per 9. Again, Dylan Cease, for reference, was 11.5 last year. Cody Ponce was 12.6. Absolutely ridiculous. This guy had a game last year where he threw a game and he had 18 strikeouts in that game. Absolutely insane. When you're looking at this, it's kind of exactly what we wanted the Toronto Blue Jays to do. It's that upside signing. You have 5 established starting pitchers. You want a guy that can come in and hopefully eat some innings and maybe give you some outings in the playoffs, maybe give you a couple different looks throughout the season. Again, injuries happen in baseball as well. You can never have too much pitching, but there is a lot of risk, obviously, as well, because this is really only based off of 1 year where he was absolutely phenomenal. So for me, this has similar feels to the Yariel Rodriguez signing, where he was very good in the Japan League. Again, this is a little bit of a different situation because Yariel was pretty much an exclusive bullpen arm, whereas we have Cody Ponce being a starting pitcher. 180.2 innings is definitely a fair share of innings. So, Braden, I guess I'll throw it back over to you. How are you feeling about this signing?
Yeah, you know what? I just want to pump the brakes a little bit. Everybody's going pretty nuts online right now about this signing. And yes, the statistics from last season were very good. And I don't want to downplay what this guy can do. But again, we have to remember that this was in the KBO. This is not MLB statistics that this guy put out. So it's going to be different. And I don't think people can expect this guy to come in and be the third or second starter for this team. He's going to be playing for a 5th starting role. And that's what we have to expect out of a deal like this. We can't expect him to come out here and strike out 250 people. And that's, what we expect. That can't happen. We have to take it as it is. Not every single signing is going to be a Dylan Cease. Not every signing is going to turn into Kevin Gausman. This is a guy that is going to be fighting for a 5th rotation spot. And that would be with Jose Barrios. But I don't want this to be all negative because it's not negative. This guy had a great season last year. I just don't want people's expectations to be through the roof with this guy. He throws a four-seam, Carter, 95.5 it sits at. Gets about a 27% whiff rate with that pitch. The changeup, 87.6 it sits at. He's got a cutter sitting at 89.7, a curveball sitting at 81.2, and a sinker as well sitting at 92.4. So this guy has a lot of pitching options, or a lot of pitches in his arsenal. He also had a gyro slider back in 2021 that just never amounted to much. But I've heard that some teams who are interested in this guy were thinking about bringing that pitch back and helping him retool with that pitch that could show him with even more success, having an even bigger arsenal of pitches. Now, I don't want to make it seem like this guy is going to be a third, second ace starter. That's not what they're bringing him in to be. This is a guy on a 3-year deal. Obviously, you're going to have Kevin Gausman depart the Toronto Blue Jays. You're going to have Shane Bieber depart. You're going to have Jose Barrios depart eventually. So this is a move to build on for the future. That's what more so this is. And if he earns that fifth rotation spot this season, great. That's awesome. But this is more about what happens in the following years. That's what this move is more so to me. And if you get the upside with this guy, even better. And if he ends up being fantastic, even better. But to me, this is more of a long play than it is specifically for this season itself.
Yeah, the signing for sure beyond the 2026 season. Again, like these guys their contracts are up. They're not necessarily leaving, but you could probably guess that with Kevin Gausman, Shane Bieber, the odds are they'll probably test free agency. I don't really see Jose Barrios leaving unless he's traded. I just don't think it would be in his best interest not to pick up that player option and remain with the Toronto Blue Jays for the contract that he does have. But yeah, there's a lot of reasons, obviously, to be excited about Cody Ponce. Especially, there's an easy way to talk yourself into it. I mean, 252 strikeouts, like just seeing that is absolutely ridiculous. This guy was a Triple Crown winner in the KBO, a FIP of 2.15. So if we're talking, we want to take the luck maybe a little bit out of it. The FIP is absolutely phenomenal as well. And like you said, if he can just catch something, and that's probably what they're going to look for, especially in this first season when you already kind of have an established starting rotation. You're just looking for that upside. You're looking for the confidence to not go to an all-time low like it once was in 2021. You want to build off what Cody Ponce did in the KBO. So I'm not sure if that's going to be, a full-time starting rotation job. A lot of this will be down to spring training. And also now, one rumor that is circulating is that now you already had 5 pitchers, and now you're bringing in Cody Ponce. You're signing him for a $30 million deal over 3 years, $10 million in the grand scheme of things. Not the craziest thing in Major League Baseball, but if you can get a starting pitcher on your payroll for $10 million that is going to eat innings and is going to make a start every 5th day, that is something that can be very beneficial for a team, especially a World Series contending team like the Toronto Blue Jays aspirations are. So with Cody Ponce, I'm excited to see what he's got. And I'm also intrigued now to see what if Ross Atkins is going to try to shop one of these starting pitchers. And unfortunately, I think there's one guy that it'd be pretty easy for a lot of people to isolate in the starting rotation, and that being Jose Barrios.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, right now you got Kevin Gausman, Dylan Cease, Shane Bieber, Trey Savage, Jose Barrios, Cody Ponce, and Eric Lauer. So you do have a lot of starting pitching depth now, which is fantastic.
Bowden Francis.
Yeah, well, Jesus. But I did want to throw this out there as well, because me and you just got done recording our episode that was going to come out tomorrow morning. And that was talking about the righty starting pitchers and this team not having a ton of lefties in this rotation. And how do we feel about that? So you guys can look out for that tomorrow. Obviously, that wasn't including Cody Ponce, but the sentiment stays because he is also a right-handed starting pitcher. So it's going to be an interesting conversation tomorrow, so make sure you guys do tune in for that one as well. I think there was a lot that we ended up sort of uncovering and deciding on. But Carter, just going back to Ponce here as well, it is interesting to see what's going to happen with Jose Barrios here. And I think the biggest question is who in the world wants Jose Barrios right now? I think that this team's low on him, and I'm guessing other teams are low on him. And I don't know if it was the best thing. I mean, you talk about this all the time, to sell low on guys. Why not keep Jose Barrios and see if he can have a great bounce back year and hope for that? Because what are you going to get for him? I'm a little concerned of what a package, including Jose Barrios, would look like for what. Ishep in the comment section here says Jays need Jose Barrios still. I agree, because we don't know what Ponce is going to be. We don't know what a season from Trey Savage is really a full season is going to look like right now. You need these guys. So it's going to be interesting. Carter, I think let's take a quick pause here. We'll come back. We'll answer some of the comments because you guys had a ton of them already coming through. So we'll take a quick break and be right back. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel, or the live stream, or whatever this is. It's brought to you by FanDuel. We love FanDuel here. It's our premier place to place our bets. And NFL Sunday moves fast. One big play, and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets on as the action unfolds, every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight. I've been killing it with the NFL Sunday bets lately. Me and my buddy sort of go head-to-head, so it's been a ton of fun. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. So, Carter, let's get into some of the comments here because we do have quite a few of them rolling in.
It's very much all centered around Jose Barrios. Like, people literally think that Jose Barrios is now gone from the Toronto Blue Jays. But I understand it's very easy to have that sentiment, just, kind of slide Jose Barrios out of that rotation, especially, the way things kind of ended last season. But Jose Barrios, like, the underlying stats weren't great, but the overall numbers for what you're now is your perceived number 5 starter. Maybe, with some people, he's like the number 6 starter now already. We haven't even seen Cody Ponce pinch in the MLB since 2021. And I do kind of get it, but there's injuries, knock on wood. Hopefully there's not, but there's injuries, obviously, in Major League Baseball, especially on the pitching side. You see arm fatigue all the time. And like you said, there's a lot of uncertainty, or at least some uncertainty with this team as well. I love Trey Savage. I'm confident that Trey Savage can be very good for this baseball team, but doing it over a full 162, like having Trey Savage pitch way more innings than he's ever pitched in his entire life, that's something that you have to think about, how you're going to rest Trey Savage and have him ready to go and firing like he did in the 2025 playoffs. Shane Bieber still coming off of that Tommy John surgery. Again, he's more of an established player, has been a previous Cy Young winner. So that one I'm not as worried about, but Kevin Gausman, the age is getting up there as well. Still confident in Kevin Gausman, but it wouldn't be the craziest thing if you said Kevin Gausman had a little bit of regression this past season. Then Dylan Cease, people are still having some question marks about him. Me and you obviously love Dylan Cease, and there's a lot to like about Dylan Cease. But if you look at just the 4.5 ERA and you look at kind of the season that he had in 2025, if he did that for the Toronto Blue Jays, I would not be happy with that, especially when you're paying a guy $30 million a year. And Cody Ponce has his own red flags to go with it as well. So I think you have 6 viable options, 7 really, including Eric Lauer. So I think that's a good thing for the Toronto Blue Jays to have, especially early on in the season. Maybe if you progress, and maybe if Cody Ponce is the greatest thing to ever grace the Toronto Blue Jays since Doc Holliday, for sure, maybe you have a little bit more leeway to trade one of your starting pitchers. But I think for now, especially, I don't see the Toronto Blue Jays, actively shopping at least Jose Barrios. They're definitely going to listen, and they're definitely going to see what the market is like for him. But with the contract and just with the previous season that Jose Barrios had, like you said, not the worst thing of all time, but you definitely would be buying low on Jose Barrios.
Yeah, for sure, Carter. I just wanted to get into some of the comments that we're getting in here. Journey for Beginners says this was I lost it. This was a nice flyer on a guy who had a good year overseas, lottery ticket that no one really knows how it will turn out, but worth the gamble. 100% agree with that. I think that's a pretty reasonable take. We got this one here. Was this Ponce on anyone else's radar? There was some teams that were asking about him, but this is one that seemed to be done pretty quickly.
Yeah, he was available Monday, Monday morning. So, and obviously now being Tuesday, it only took 2 days for a team to get Cody Ponce. And luckily it was the Toronto Blue Jays, maybe for better or worse. We'll have to see how this plays out in Toronto.
Yeah, another one here. And this one, we talked about it earlier in the episode. Still no left-handed pitching, still no true closer, no big bat. The left-handed pitching, we get into that tomorrow on sort of how that'll affect the team. We just finished recording that episode as this dropped. So you guys can make sure you check that out tomorrow because it is a big, interesting conversation that needs to be had because this team is full of righties. So we'll get into that more so on tomorrow morning. So make sure you guys do click in for that one. Carter, on any of that kind of stuff, I guess when it comes down to the radar or this being a little bit of a lottery ticket, anything really that sticks out for you here?
Yeah, I don't see this as being like a farewell tour for Jose Barrios, like a lot of people on Twitter and then obviously people in our live stream are seeing as well. I think Jose Barrios still has value. I think that right now, like he would still be my number 5 guy going into the season. I get like the Cody Ponce numbers are absolutely ridiculous. And you might be like, what the hell? Like this guy just was the Triple Crown winner in the KBO. Fortunately, the KBO is a lot different than Major League Baseball. So while this is a great upside signing, and it makes perfect sense for the Toronto Blue Jays right now, when you already had 5 established starters, if you can get another guy to make that starting rotation that much better, if Cody Ponce can even capture, 2/3 of what he did in 2025, that's going to look like an absolute bargain for the Toronto Blue Jays over the long term. But like we always talk about with all these players, like when we talked about it with Bo Bichette, how are you going to value a player? Are you going to value them over one season where he was phenomenal and way significantly better? Again, this is crazy numbers, so you have to take that as well. Not everybody can just wake up and throw 252 strikeouts. It's absolutely ridiculous. But it was only like 1.5, we'll say 1 season, obviously, with the Triple Crown winner here. So there is some risk, but exactly what I wanted the Toronto Blue Jays to do. To take a flyer on a guy, maybe $10 million, a little bit, rich for some people. Again, if this isn't going to impede them spending in any other facet, it's not my money. I really don't care. You could have paid him $30 million if you were still going to be in on guys like Kyle Tucker, Bo Bichette, and then obviously some bullpen arms as well. So optimistic is the way I'll put this. I'm pretty excited to see what Cody Ponce could do in Toronto Blue Jays uniform.
Yeah, to me, this is a very low-risk move. But I do want to make sure that everybody is well aware, because there are a lot of people talking very, very highly of this guy on social media right now. This guy is not going to come in and be a second or third starter for this team. He just won't be. He will come in and be battling for that 5th spot. So I just wanted to make
probably
that
the goal is, though, like throughout the season is like he becomes maybe the 2 or 3rd starter, especially like with those KBO numbers. But I think initially, like you can't expect, like the expectation at least can't be that he's going to come in and do this.
Yeah, I like, to me, that's not even in the back of my head. Is like, hey, what can he deliver for us right now? I'm sort of not thinking about that, because we all sort of get taken aback by the signings and it's big Toronto Blue Jays news, but dial it back a little bit. Not everybody is going to turn out to their fullest potential in what they say. There's some guys you are going to miss on, some guys that you take a shot on. And I don't think a $10 million per year shot is the craziest thing in the world. So I think this is a very low risk, high reward type of move. And like you said, Carter, I think that's exactly what this team wanted if they were going to go after another starting pitcher. So yeah.
And you know what this goes to show again too? Is the Toronto Blue Jays are going to continue to be aggressive. They're going to continue to spend. Like some people thought it was done for some reason after Dylan Cease, which literally made no sense whatsoever. Again, if you're going to take a $10 million flyer on a guy that, again, it's kind of like trying not to be disrespectful towards him, but had one good season in the KBO.
Yeah.
Like clearly the Toronto Blue Jays are going to be aggressive, and clearly they are trying to build this roster to be the best it can possibly be to run it back in 2026. So very optimistic about the rest of this offseason. There is going to be a few big signings, and I'm so excited to see what hopefully the winter meetings can speed up the process with, but anyone the Toronto Blue Jays signed for the continuation of this offseason.
Yeah, just before we get out of here, again, I wanted to let you guys know that we do talk about the lefty situation in this starting rotation tomorrow. Obviously, we recorded it. Literally, we finished 2 minutes before this dropped. So it still carries all the weight, because it's now an even bigger quote-unquote issue that they don't have a lefty. It's all righties, besides that, if you want to throw Eric Lauer in there.
Pretty funny, too, in the group chat. It's just the first, like, we're just finishing up the podcast, and then the first thing we see is, who the hell is Cody Ponce? Which honestly is kind of fair, unless we're following the KBO extensively, because I saw the name, I'm like, that does seem familiar. And then obviously we did the deep dive into the stats and everything. And yeah, pretty phenomenal year from the kid in the KBO.
Yeah, as always, we want to thank and we appreciate everybody tuning into the live streams, the podcast, all throughout the offseason as we continue to get more Toronto Blue Jays news. Obviously, winter meetings are coming up. A lot will happen around that time. That is like, you can put your hat on that there's going to be some massive signings. Now, will it be Bo Bichette? Will it be Kyle Tucker? We don't know, but there might be a trade. There might be something else. So stay tuned to Locked On Blue Jays for all your information, and we'll be back with you guys tomorrow morning.